I medicalized 17 years ago at an LGBT center. I'm a CSA survivor. Doctors told me that what was wrong with me and how I felt about my body was not from CSA, even though I went there and said, did CSA make me this way?
CSA?
Yes, childhood sexual assault. And they said no. They said no. They said being gay is innate and being trans is innate, and what you have is gender identity disorder. They diagnosed me with gender dysphoria, and I believed their bullshit for about 17 years.
Wow. So for you, I mean, to what extent did you go through an actual are you willing to tell me everything that you went through?
Yeah, so I had FFS, I had SRS, I had an orchiectomy, I had facial feminization surgery, I had sex reassignment surgery, I was on HRT for 17 years, now I'm on a combo dose because I can't go off. I have multiple health conditions from transitioning young and for transitioning for so long.
Wow. So what was it for you that kind of woke you up to this isn't what I should have done?
I found out that homosexual transition was environmentally caused in almost every single case by childhood sexual assault or by internalized homophobia or failed boy syndrome. 92.5% of trans-identified males are straight and bisexual, and the only explanation for a straight or bisexual man to transition is autogynephilia. So from my perspective, I went there and I was given a blanket diagnosis given to anybody who has a body issue as a child nowadays.
Did they ever try to refer you to like a therapist or any?
I went to therapy for a year. I saw psychologists. I was diagnosed. It took a year back then, not 15 minutes, and I was in the South on the East Coast. But they still believed that transsexualism was innate, that gender identity was this innate disorder that people just had, and like CSA didn't really rule you out.
So, this is your experience. You actually went through this, and you still have the effects of it. How do you find your story received by people who continue to sort of push medicalization?
They hate me. They call me a bigot. They say that trans women are women. They say that gender dysphoria is a valid diagnosis. I've combed through trans history. I've read all of the old academics who created this. If you go back to like the early 1900s, transition was conceived by old academics who were trying to find a way for homosexuals to exist in a fascist world in Europe. Havelock Ellis, Magnus Hirschfeld, that's why it was made. It just so happens that AGP is also real, and that got latched onto. A bunch of AGPs transitioned, and fast forward 100 years ago, and we have 100 years forward, and we have an ideology that's based on lies that kids are told to as soon as they have issues. And God forbid you're effeminate and you believe that something's wrong with you as a man because you like pretty things and are sassy.
So how do you identify now?
I'm a gay man.
A gay man. And I mean, for people around you, have you lost friends or anyone by detransitioning?
I was canceled by every friend I had who was liberal in this city and had to leave the city.
And you live here?
I live outside of the city now because I had to leave.
So how old are you now?
I am 34 and married.
What is the message that you would send? I mean, obviously there's protesters here. Riley Gaines, she's not necessarily talking about transitioning and all that. She's talking more about men and girls sports. But for you, what do you want people to know by hearing your story, that you're willing to come here, even though you know that your message will probably make them angry? Why is it important for you to be here?
Because people are being lied to when they're being diagnosed. They're not being diagnosed with what actually causes the gender dysphoria. They're just being diagnosed with a symptom of a problem. And there are multiple problems that cause those symptoms. And when you don't appropriately diagnose people, you lead them into a life of ruin. All of these interventions are permanent, they're irreversible, and they lied to me. I want people to know that they're lying to people. They're not diagnosing autogynephiles as autogynephiles. I have friends who medicalized all the way and are self-admitted AGP who were never diagnosed with the reason they feel this way. They were just transitioned.
Who do you blame for that? Is it the doctors? Is it politicians? Is it the media? Who do you blame for this sort of fast tracking of medicalizing children?
I think after gay marriage was won, there was an empty hole in gay politics. We had gotten everything we wanted, and I think trans jumped into all of the orgs that were associated with the gay community, and they lobbied to make gender identity a protected thing. They started doing that in the 90s, and I think this is a byproduct of the trans community intentionally watering things down and lobbying so everybody can have access, and they don't care about the people who are indoctrinated, who are harmed by this loosey-goosey system where you can walk into a therapist in 15 minutes and be given a gender dysphoria diagnosis.
And what do you think it'll take to fix it?
It's going to take lawmakers to step up and shut it down.